Alexander Pushkin, the flame of the Russian soul, born this day. Welcome, dear listeners, where we uncover the lives, legacies, and lessons of history's most inspirational figures. Today is a very special day. It's June 6th, the birthday of a man whose words lit fires in the minds of millions. A man who gave birth to modern Russian literature and gave hope to generations across the world. He is often called the soul of Russia, the people's poet, the freedom writer. His name, Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin. Born in 1799, Pushkin's pen would one day challenge empires and elevate human spirit. Alexander Pushkin was born into nobility in Moscow, but he was no ordinary aristocrat. His lineage included Abram Ganable, his great-grandfather, an African child brought to Russia, who would rise to become a general under Peter the Great. This unique heritage made Pushkin an outsider in many ways. He experienced racism, exclusion, and scrutiny from Russian high society. Yet those very challenges planted in him a voice of empathy, rebellion, and truth. From early childhood, Pushkin was surrounded by books, stories, and songs. By the age of 15, he was already publishing poetry that captivated the Russian elite, even as it criticized the very system they upheld. Among Pushkin's many profound words, there's one quote that continues to resonate across fields, across generations. Inspiration is needed in geometry, just as much as in poetry. At first glance, it sounds simple, but behind it lies a powerful message. Pushkin was declaring that inspiration isn't just for the arts, it belongs to every human endeavor. Math, science, engineering, politics, every problem we solve, every breakthrough we reach, requires not just logic, but imagination. This quote was revolutionary. It tore down the false wall between creativity and reason. Pushkin understood that the spark of genius lives not only in painters and poets, but in thinkers, builders, dreamers of every kind. In 19th century Russia, society was tightly structured. Artists were seen as emotional, scientists as rational, and there was little space in between. But Pushkin, he shattered that. He believed the poet and the physicist shared the same fire, a desire to create something that didn't exist before. By saying geometry, the most exact logical subject, needed inspiration, Pushkin reminded us that all progress begins in the imagination. This quote influenced not only literature but the way people thought about learning, leadership, and legacy. Even in the 20th century, scientists like Einstein quoted poetry. Modern innovators like Steve Jobs echoed Pushkin's sentiment, combining art with technology, feeling with function. Pushkin lived during the rule of Tsarist autocracy. Censorship was severe, political dissent was dangerous, but Pushkin, with grace and courage, used verse to fight tyranny. His pen gave voice to the voiceless. His poetry told stories of suffering, of injustice, of the human longing for freedom. One of his early poems, Ode to Liberty, got him exiled from St. Petersburg. Why? Because he dared to dream out loud. Even though he was under surveillance for most of his adult life, he never stopped writing. His poems were passed secretly, memorized by heart, whispered across classrooms and prisons. Before Pushkin, Russian literature was either stiff or imitative of Europe. Pushkin changed everything. With his masterpiece Eugene Onegin, he introduced the novel in verse. Blending story, song, and social commentary, he created characters that were complex, flawed, deeply human. He wrote about love and loneliness, ambition and despair, joy and revolution. Pushkin made the Russian language sing. He took the language of bureaucracy and turned it into music. Writers like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and Turgenev all called him their teacher. Even Fyodor Dostoevsky said, "Pushkin is a phenomenon, and perhaps the only one, of the Russian spirit." Pushkin's life was not long. He died in 1837, in a duel defending the honor of his wife, Natalia Goncharova. It was not his first duel, but it was his last. Shot in the stomach, he suffered for 2 days before passing. He was only 37. The people mourned as if a king had died, but they did not bury a man, they buried a movement. And yet, Pushkin never truly died. Today, his poems are taught in every Russian school. Statues of him stand tall in Moscow, Paris, even in Ethiopia. His face was on banknotes. His words are on gravestones. His spirit lives in every artist who dares to speak their truth. What does Pushkin mean to us, here, now? He teaches us that brilliance doesn't need permission, that no matter where we come from, we can create beauty, truth, and change, that being different isn't a curse, it's a calling. Pushkin inspires the young writer afraid their voice won't be heard, the scientist staring at a blank notebook, the activist fighting against systems that seem immovable. He says, keep going, be bold, let inspiration guide you. So, on this June 6th, let's not just remember Pushkin's birthday, let's remember his bravery, let's remember his belief in us. In your hands, your heart, your voice lies the same fire. Whether you're a poet or a programmer, a dreamer or a doer, inspiration belongs to you. Let me leave you with his words again. It is better to have dreamed 1,000 dreams that never were, than never to have dreamed at all. Pushkin didn't live long, but he lived loudly, and he reminds us all that it's not how long we live, but how deeply we dare. Thank you for joining me today on. If this episode inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments what inspires you most about Pushkin. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep writing, keep imagining.